Good morning. I would like you to imagine with me now, if you will, that you are in charge of running California for the day. They sit you down in office, they present to you the state's finances. You quickly notice that the state has been hemorrhaging tax revenues. So you ask why? Why is this happening? Well, they explain to you that the citizens of the state, some of which are some of your various wealthiest citizens, have been migrating out of the state in record numbers. And that is contributing to the large tax shortfall of billions of dollars every year. And so you start to wonder, well, how are we going to fix this? Well, you say, well, don't worry, we have a plan. You're like, really? What is it? We're going to do things the California way. Even though people are leaving our state, one, due to high taxes and other reasons, we're going to try to incentivize them to stay longer in our state by taxing them if they leave. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, California is up to their usual shenanigans of trying to keep people in the state by taxing them more. No! So if you haven't heard of what California is proposing, they're calling it the wealth and exit tax, whereby if you exit the state and you're wealthy, you're still going to be subject to taxes from California for up to 10 years. Now the bill is AB 2088, AB 2088. And this is being proposed by 12 assembly members and 2 senators, in which it says it would impose a 0.4% annual tax on a taxpayer's worldwide wealth above $30 million, not counting real estate based on market value at the end of each calendar year. Now, if you're a part-year resident, what they would do is you would pay a prorated tax based on the number of days spent in California, and new residents would have the wealth tax phased in for them over 10 years. That's cute. They think they're going to have new residents. Clearly, the California government is getting desperate to have to propose something like this. But this is why. Read right here. It says the top 1% of income earners currently pay 46% of California's income tax collections. 46% of the taxes are paid by only 1% of the population of the state. And of course, these are the people they're targeting. It says many California taxpayers seem to be getting sick of shouldering this burden. The most recent IRS migration data shows that on net, over 60,000 Californians moved out of the state between 2017 and 18, resulting in a net loss of $8 billion in adjusted gross income between 2010 and 2018. The state's tax base shrank by $24.6 billion. It goes on to say the wealth tax proposal includes an exit tax to ensure that no one escapes the loving embrace of the California Franchise Tax Board. Boy, ain't that the truth. A person subject to the tax who chooses to leave the state will still be subject to it for 10 years on a sliding scale, amounting to a total of 1.8%. Exit tax, as figure A shows. Understatement of tax would carry a penalty of the greater of $1 million or 20% of the tax due on the top existing tax penalties. So it looks like as you leave the state, this is how you would be taxed. So in the first year, you pay the most at 0.4%. Then each year it would be less and less and less. Finally, at year 10, you would have paid a total of 1.8% on, I guess, the amount of your net worth over $30 million, regardless of where you live in the world. When you see something like this, why would you, if you were wealthy, why would you ever come here? Like, you wouldn't. It would make no sense to come to California. You might visit, but you're never going to open a business here. You're never going to become a resident here, in my opinion. Wait, I'm bad. Assemblyman Rob Bonta, who's behind this bill, or he's one of the assembly people behind it, he's got his own opinion on that. So if we scroll down here, he says, they asked him, why would any wealthy individual move to California? Bonta said, people will always move into the state because it's California. Really? Now, if all this goes through, they estimate this will generate an additional $7.5 billion in state tax revenues. You see, Bonta blames the coronavirus for creating the inequality in California and not the previous legislation and policies. Families are hurting right now, he says, and COVID-19 has only made matters worse. In times of crisis, all Californians must step up and contribute their fair share. Asking these well-resourced Californians to give a little bit more to keep our people working and support our most vulnerable is the right thing to do. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Pay your fair share. That is the line that is used over and over and over again every time somebody wants to raise taxes on you. Many Californians already feel like they are paying their fair share, if not more. The state leads the nation in the highest gas taxes, the highest state income taxes in the nation, and the highest state capital gain taxes in the nation. Now, I don't have an issue paying taxes, but my issue is this. Never once has a politician came out and said, if you pay your fair share, we'll be better at how we spend the money. We won't spend as much. We'll do better. We'll get the state out of the hole. We'll fix things. Never once has that happened. And so I'm not opposed to paying taxes. I'm opposed to how the money is used. Now, he says right here that COVID basically furthered inequality, or is a big part of the inequality. COVID certainly did make matters worse economically in California. But let's not forget that California had inequality long before COVID ever reared its ugly head. I mean, have you guys seen the homelessness here in California? I've seen it in person. It's not pretty. And you might have seen it on TV or heard about it over the internet, but the state has one of the highest concentrations of homelessness in the entire nation. Personally, though, that's honestly not that surprising to me, because California, in terms of cost of living now, if we're talking cost of living, we're actually like number 2 in the entire nation. The only state more expensive to live in, which this makes sense, would be Hawaii on that nice, beautiful island. Other than that, California comes in second, and right behind California would be New York. But the real estate prices here are absolutely insane. And the people who buy up the real estate and the assets here are the rich, and the rich are people who typically own the big companies, such as the tech companies here and Hollywood. If you haven't seen Selling Sunset, if you want to take a look at some $40 million mansions, go watch that show and you'll see what I'm talking about. I wanted to bring this up because this would be a first in the nation, first ever kind of tax, so the wealth exit tax. And it might not be limited to California. Other states might try to adopt this if this passes. But I wanted to get your thoughts. Do you think this is fair? Do you think this is unfair? I mean, clearly they're targeting the wealthy. Their argument is that the wealthy people made their money here in California, therefore they should be subject to taxes for the next 10 years, according to this bill, regardless of where they live. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good idea, a bad idea? Do you really think that's fair? Now, my only concern personally is once the wealthy leave the state, if the people who pay the bulk of the tax leave, then the only remaining citizens left are going to be stuck to pay whatever tax burden there is based on whatever tax policies they come up with next. Who knows? So that's my concern. Now, this is somewhat similar to an estate tax because it's based on wealth. They are proposing an estate tax in California. It hasn't been passed yet, but they're looking at that next because clearly the state, they're desperate for tax revenues. We've had so many issues this year in California, and wherever you live, if you've been watching the news, there's been fire after fire after fire after fire. I've spent weeks in my house because very few days of the week I can even go outside because of clean air. But that's a whole nother issue, so I digress. Thanks for watching this video with me, everybody. I'll see you down in the comments. Live life uncaged, and I'll see you in the next one.